What's going on, everybody? This is JC, the Bald Hearing Guy, and I am in the Blue Bamboo in Winter Park. Today we're going to be showcasing a musician, his journey through hearing loss, and how he's doing now that he's been fit with the latest Widex Allure hearing aids. Stay tuned.
A 1, 2, 3, 2.
What's going on, everybody? This is JC Soto. I am the owner of Altamont Family Hearing. I am the host of the Wax and Whiskey podcast, and I'm really excited to shoot this video today because I have a guest, Mr. Daniel Jordan, who is a fun patient of ours that we have had the privilege to help. And I just wanted to take a moment and capture your story because when you came in our office, you made our wife cry, you wowed us with some music, and you're a musician. I want to know more about, like, what before you got into our doors, like, what is your story? What got you, first and foremost, what got you into music? Because you are clearly a very passionate person. Tell us about that journey.
So my journey into music was fomented by my brother, who's a musical genius. He started playing drums in the backyard with garbage cans at 6 years old, and formed a band by the time he was 7. I had no musical aptitude or talent at all. I just had the desire to follow in his footsteps. And my father is a research psychologist, and he taught me learning theory at a very young age, and I applied that learning theory to the study of music. So that's how I continued to have a wonderful and long career in the music business.
What was the spark? Because, like, when you outside of discovery music, like, you sort of transformed in the little bit, and I hope we're going to be capturing some music notes today. But, like, you transformed, you went to another place when you were playing the music in our office. So part of our journey in hearing healthcare is we were trying to make sure that the hearing aids, which we're going to speak to a little bit, but making sure that they're performing the best that they can, but also getting you reconnected to the sounds that you've been missing. So you brought in instruments, which I love. Like, anytime we have a musician or an opportunity to help the person and where they're having the most difficulty, it's, it helps us do our job better. When you came in with those instruments, you went to another place. Where was the first time that you did that you transformed, that you fell in love, not just played music, but, like, fell in love with the music and went there?
In Seminole County in 1971, they had a outreach program from a place called the Bandwagon, and they brought a band into the school. I heard the saxophone player play. I was between 6th and 7th grade, and as soon as I heard that sound, I knew that's what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And so that was the initial spark.
That's amazing.
The thing about music is it assists in transcending this realm and understanding that there's more to this reality than the physical nature of it, and that music is the gateway for me and hopefully for everyone else to other realms.
Yeah. My background's Dominican. I'm from the Dominican Republic. We do a lot of dancing, a lot of instruments, I grew up since a kid. You're, like, encouraged, like, you got to go out, you got to dance. It's a thing. There's a lot of community, and, like, music is such an impactful part of my life, but I've never been a musician. I can't play, or I have not tried to I played the guitar, but I tried to play the guitar, but I wasn't very successful at it. But I'm not coordinated that way. And so just seeing you play in the office like that, it's just magical and beautiful to see someone do what they love, like what they're passionate about, and it shines. So that was really, really special. And Grace is my wife. She's our patient care coordinator, office manager, and she helps me with so many things behind the scenes. But she was in tears, and that was really, really special. In your journey as a musician, where did hearing loss connect with it? Is there anything in anything that you noticed while you were playing or playing other instruments that was lacking? Like, what is it that led you to notice that, hey, I'm probably not hearing as much as I should be, and how did you feel about that?
My journey into the hearing assistance world is mainly from the tinnitus side. And again, referring back to my father, we did tons of anecdotal research studies with he and I and my hearing, and tried lots of different things, and sort of both came to the realization decades ago that it was a lack of stimulation, and that the hearing aids brought additional stimulation and was able to modulate or turn down the tinnitus tremendously. And so that's basically what I
That was
use.
the motivator. That was
Basically, what I use the devices for. Upon meeting you, I like to describe it as cataract surgery for my eyes, for my ears.
okay.
So
Like
everything was clouded, and now I am able to experience the full spectrum of what's occurring, thinking that I was already experiencing that, and having that enlightenment has been tremendous opportunity for me.
yeah.
I also notice that especially musicians don't address the number one concern, which is talking and interacting with non-musicians. All musicians lip read. All musicians talk loud. All musicians talk directly at each other. When you're with people who aren't hearing impaired, you start to notice, oh my goodness, I talk much louder than everybody else. Oh my goodness, I'm missing all the conversations. I'm missing a wide part of the other part of being in this business, which is making real and lasting and instant connections with people.
Yeah.
And so when I'm having trouble hearing someone in the club, it seems like I'm aloof when I'm really just not getting enough information.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this really has, I mainly use it for the diminishing the tinnitus and off the bandstand, especially on the way home from gigs when my tinnitus is acting up, and during the day.
Yeah. Yeah. The part of lip reading is there's a huge correlation with that too, because you guys are in noise, and so people that are exposed to loud noise, we tend to lose. You're gonna have more. You're gonna have noise-induced hearing loss that happens because you're playing instruments, especially if it's unprotected. So what that normally looks like for people, even whether we're musicians or just age-related hearing loss, or a mechanic, or anyone that's had more noise exposure, they're gonna lose those higher frequencies first. And then what that looks like for people is, I see your lips moving, like I know that you're speaking, but I'm missing these little tidbits. Like I'm having to zone in and look at your lips and try to pick that up. And so, as you were saying, like musicians do that. Musicians speak with intention. We project to one another, or lip read. There's also another part of that is like it's the population that most likely has hearing loss, and if that's untreated, this is why things aren't as clear. So when someone's in the audience and speaking, they're speaking to just another human being. There is no sign. And this is honestly why hearing loss goes untreated for so many people. Is like there's nothing really obvious until it gets to the point that it's very severe, and then it's obvious to the people that are close to you, your loved ones, and others. But there's no sign that says this person has hearing loss. So if I'm speaking to you or speaking to anyone else, I'm going to speak how I would speak to my neighbor, and then that's where it's like, oh man, I'm missing those details. I'm missing these little tidbits. And of course, hearing aids. That's my job is to then take those hearing instruments, make sure that they're giving that person what it is that they're needing to hear their best. And then the tinnitus part, there are 85% of people that have a hearing loss, that have a sensory neural hearing loss, I should add, which is a nerve-related
Yep.
hearing loss.
Absolutely.
They develop a ring. They develop the sound. For some people, it's a white noise. For some people, it's a pink noise. But it is a sound that is there to them that is not there to other people. And usually, like you said before, it's a lack of stimulation somewhere. Like there is this part, and there's different theories. There's this. That's why there is no magic pill. There is no drug that exists that you take this and the tinnitus goes away. Because for some people, it's because there is an auditory deprivation somewhere in their hearing system. But there are people that test as normal hearing and have ringing in their ears, and then it's harder to give them a solution. a big message that I want to say to people, musicians or anyone that's experiencing hearing loss and tinnitus is there are solutions. I know many physicians will say like, "Oh no, it's just part of aging. It is what it is." No, there are ways, whether through amplification to try to mitigate the ringing that they have in their ears. There's other therapies and things. There are specialists that are. I'm a hearing aid specialist. My specialty is helping people that are hearing impaired hear their best through amplification. But there are audiologists that do tinnitus therapies, that do other ways to stimulate wherever it is that they're missing the stimulation to try to mitigate that. So there used to be like this conversation about like, oh, you just live with it and it is what it is. And no. There's, I mean, as like everything else in technology, like things are getting better and better and better every day, and there are solutions and there's ways. So don't take that no for an answer. Like look for resources, which I'm happy you did.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would want to say to musicians is you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on the best instruments. You spend thousands of thousands of dollars on the ancillary equipment, and then you go to Costco and put on basically a Sears saxophone and wonder why it doesn't work. You need real data. You need real ear measurement. You need someone that can EQ your devices the same way you get EQ'd in the studio when you put the cans on. That's the same experience that you're going to have with JC. You're going to put these headphones on and he's going to dial in the sound that you want, just like if you were at the top studio in New York City. It's the same process, except you get to carry the cans around with you 24/7.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
please,
Thank you for saying that.
understand that you need another professional assisting you. You don't need the guy down the block fixing your irrigation system. You need a specialist when it comes to something as specialized as hearing and the EQ and the processing. You need someone that understands data and can deliver on your requests based on his experience dealing with patients. And that's the experience that I had with JC.
Thank you. Thank you. You did homework too. So I will say, before you found me, what is it that you were, like you mentioned real ear measurement right now. I talk about this day in and day out. If this is your first time watching a video about hearing aids or hearing loss, exactly what Daniel said. You want to find a provider, let's say you're not in Central Florida, you can't come see us. You want to find a provider that follows what we call comprehensive best practices. What they are is specifically looking for real ear measurement. That is the only way to validate that a hearing aid is meeting the prescriptive target that the patient needs. I'm not trying not to get nerdy with you guys, but what that is we're going to know with confidence that whatever the void that the patient has acoustically is being met with the proper amplification. This is not put this thing on and see if it works. It's not me stepping 2 feet away and saying, "Hey, is this thing on? Are you hearing me okay?" There is objective data, not subjective. Yes, the patient will always put something on. You can put hearing aids on me, or we have a video team behind here right now. I could put a hearing aid on any of them and go, "Is this thing on?" And they're going to go, "Yes, it's on." And so many people cannot describe. Musicians are a little easier and more challenging sometimes when it comes to them being able to describe where they're missing, because they understand music, they understand audio. But when we're talking about the average consumer, when we're talking about the average patient, let's say, especially if we're talking about our aging population, they're not necessarily going to be able to tell us, I need a bump at 2 to 3K. I need a boost in this scenario. Even saying like bass and treble, they're not going to be able to express it. So to take the variable out of like the patient leading us, that's where you find a professional that we're going to know with concrete evidence that what it is that we're fitting is doing what it's supposed to for that person. And not everyone knows that. So, and unfortunately, like let's say we put this on a consumer hat instead of a medical device, people will look at, just reviews, or look at like consumer reports, like what's that. This is not a laptop that you're purchasing. It is a medical device that is going to be fitting the person's needs. And unfortunately, when people are searching, they're just looking at hearing aids near me, or, they don't know to look for these things. So how did you know? Like, what led you to do the homework to find us? Because that's something that, honestly, I do this every day. I've been doing this for over a decade. We do not always see people calling in saying, hey, I don't just want the cheapest device. I don't just want, something that is rechargeable. I want something that's meeting my needs. Like, how did you get to that point of like doing that homework, or what led you down that, that search, let's say, online?
I think it's inherent in most musicians that assess what they need and then plot a course towards that and gather information and data and then apply that information and data in a way that makes sense to them and not looking again if you, I didn't pay $100 for this.
It doesn't
can,
look like it.
you can buy, everybody knows you can buy one of these for $100. You're going to get $100 flute. Same thing with these. You can go to Costco and spend not enough money and be totally unsatisfied and have a brick, or you can have something that will last you a while and is completely adjustable, completely customizable, and with a quantification of the measurement inside your ear of the frequencies, not outside your ear, not what the computer says the plot is, the measurement from the microphone in your ear with the input.
You're about
You're,
to take my job.
you're not getting that quantification anywhere else but someone who does real ear measurements. Best practices. So many people accept advice from non-professionals. I love JC. I don't look at his Google rating. I look at his database and his knowledge base and the way he can explain it to me and how effective he is. Yes, he gets a 5-star rating from me, but it's not anecdotal. It's because he presented the information in a way that I could understand and it made sense to me and it added value to the product.
I love. I need to take him around like everywhere. This is like the best commercial right now. Thank you so much for
It's the
that.
truth. It's
Yeah,
the truth.
thank you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And so many. I just turned 67, and all my peers are. I don't mean to pick on a provider. All my peers are looking for gourmet food at Chick-fil-A prices. It does not occur.
Yeah, and I say that as I'd say I wear the same hat as a consumer of other things. Like if I want to purchase something, there are some things that we could try to find the most affordable thing, and there's also you have to see the value. Like if I'm purchasing, I don't know, let's just say I'm gonna go to consumer electronics. If I'm buying a TV, I'm the type of guy that, hey, I'm gonna watch this TV X amount of hours. Like I want to find something that's going to look better, something that I'm going to enjoy watching. And this is just or a laptop or a cell phone or whatever. Like we spend so much. Let's go to the cell phones. We spend like $1,300-$1,400 every time an iPhone something comes out. And some people do that every year. Some people do that every 2 years. When we're talking about hearing aids, these will easily last you 5, 6, 7 years. It is something that you're wearing every waking moment, and it's something that, yeah, it's not just a consumer electronic. It is one of your senses. Why not? And I'm not saying you have to go and get everyone has to go out and get premium hearing aids, but I would say most importantly is making sure that you're going to a provider that whatever it is that is within your budget, that they're going to maximize that's going to fit the prescription, that it's something. A hearing aid is worthless if it's on your nightstand. A hearing aid needs to be worn, and it's something that you have to enjoy wearing as often as you can. So yeah, it's one of those, like, you have to, I hate, to say pay to play, but you have to invest in something of quality so that you can get that return and you feel empowered. Like you don't want to be at a graduation, even let's say you live alone, or whether you have your family nearby, a graduation, a wedding, your child's baptism, whatever that is. You don't want to be in that moment and feeling like, man, I guess I should have gotten those better hearing aids. Like, why did I get this hearing aid next to where the mayonnaise is being sold? And I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to just throw jabs at Costco, but this sort of thought process, it's one of those, like, we tend to look for what is the cheapest thing, and there are some things that you got to sit back and go, do I really want to go with the most affordable thing when it's a healthcare device, or do I want to go with what's going to give me quality of life? Which, whether we're here for a year, whether we're here for 5, 20 years, we don't know the answer, but we need to enjoy the time that we are on this planet and the people that we're like. The most important thing, we are social beings, is our connection with other people. So you don't want to feel like you're missing out on that, because and just because you saved a buck or two, like it's just not worth it, in my opinion. And I would say, even if you're not in Central Florida, even if you're not coming to see me, wherever you are in the world and you're considering hearing aids, like, this is, we're finding a provider that's going to go above and beyond, making sure that those devices are properly fit. It's quality of life for you. Like, this is something that you're investing in yourself and your family, your friends, the people around you. They're going to thank you for it, because it's who is most affected by hearing loss is, the people around us. Is not, it may be, let's say in your story, or let's say you are a bird watcher and you're missing that. Like, that could be something that's impactful for you. For a musician, if you're missing some sound, some tunes, and you're going, man, I think I could do a little bit better. Like, those things are very important. What's important to a person is very different, person to person. Whatever that is, like, we want to get you to hearing the things that you're missing as soon as you can. And that's where it's important to get a quality provider that follows comprehensive best practices in hearing healthcare. And if you're in Central Florida, Altamont Family Hearing, you will see me in a shirt and tie, not like this. I'm at the Blue Bamboo in Winter Park, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to come in a shirt and tie. This place looks beautiful. But if you're local, I'd love to help you. And if you're not, look for providers that follow best practices.
I think it's essential to rely on an expert. I'm an expert at flute. I can pick up a flute and assess whether it's a good flute or not. I understand if it's a good buy or not. But in selecting a hearing device, they're available online. I don't know what I'm getting. It's not tested. There's no warranty behind it. It's a faceless, nameless corporation that puts something in a box to me and send it. I'll never hear from them again. I probably won't be able to return it. Dealing with JC, here's the device. Try it out. Come back in a week. Adjust. Come back in another week. Adjust. Come back in another week. Come back. I said, come back again? Yes, until you're satisfied with what I provided you.
Yeah.
Again, you're not getting that someplace else. It has to be someone who follows best practices. And as a professional, you follow best practices in your vocation. So why wouldn't you have someone assist you who's a professional who knows in an arena that you're ignorant in? And that's what I use JC for, and I couldn't be happier.
We selected the Widex hearing aids. Part of that choice was, you have the Widex Allure product. They are the fastest at processing. They are the ones, and what this means to people is, whenever I snap my finger, whenever I do anything, they are the fastest to pick up the input, get it through the processor, get it in the patient's ear, and that results in it being the most natural to people, because there isn't a delay. It doesn't give you as much of like an echoey sound. There are 6 leading manufacturers, and at Altamont Family Hearing, we work with all 6. But for my musicians, that is, normally I'll steer towards Widex because it is the most natural to them. Can you talk about your experience wearing them? Like, what does your voice sound? What do people sound like?
I had a set of Oticons that sounded like I was listening to an old-time telephone. With the low latency on these instruments bring a tremendous improvement over the Oticons. It brings a tremendous improvement in the sound overall. Music is a little easier to listen to, and obviously everything is turned down. So the TV that used to be on 15 is now on 8. In the car, it's the same thing. And it makes you feel more like everyone else, because you don't have to turn the TV up to blast. And everybody says, whoa, or get in the car, and they turn the radio on and it blasts them out. Now we get in the car and it's the regular volume. So these are the things that sort of help you normalize your gain structure and reorganize that in your head, and also understand, as in the studio, we're looking for as low latency as possible. And we've all been in sessions where that hasn't been the case. And it's almost impossible to do a session like this. These devices are like being in a high quality studio all the time with the latency. The clarity is excellent. The crispness is excellent. I can control there's a 3-band EQ on my phone that I can control on the fly. There's also an AI assistant that will A/B any program that you want to change and will morph it into, they'll play A and then play B and say which one is better, and you choose one, and then from that choice it remembers the parameters that it adjusted and continues down that road. So if you're an AI fan, there's 25 choices of AI in each of the personal settings. There's 10 settings overall. You can sit with your hearing professional and, like I did in the office with the instruments, and dial in exactly what you want.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I love that you're using the app and you got it, because that's become part of us. Like we all use our cell phones for the most part. So being able to be in the driver's seat, like there is some control where you can say, hey, I'm having a difficult time here, pick up your phone. A lot of people don't know that you can do that, and usually with prescription hearing aids you have that. And the AI feature is kind of like having like a version of me in your pocket where,
Absolutely.
now if you're needing more control, go to your hearing healthcare professional. If you're having difficulty, like that's where you don't be shy in this journey. You want to tell them, hey, I like this, I don't like that. We had a list. I actually love this. You came in with a list of like, hey, this is what I'm finding. This is what I'm talking about. AI, you used AI for that list.
Yep.
Because he sent me a list of like, hey, when I'm playing my flute, when I'm playing my sax, like I want this, I'm looking for that. And there are things, I am not a musician, so I'm like, I was blown away by the level of detail in the list, because it was saying things like reduce compression and things that either an audio engineer would understand or a hearing healthcare professional would understand. And I'm like, you don't know about hearing aids. How are you giving me this very specific list of things to do? And it was, and it was awesome to use the AI in that. But being comfortable, like he came to me and said, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Can you help me get close? Can we bridge the gap? And that was just one of the sessions. And I'm saying this on camera, where if you need me tomorrow, if you need, like, this is where you have to have a relationship and someone that you're going to be seeing ongoing, because it's a long-term thing. You have to be comfortable to say, JC, I love this, but you know what? I don't really love that. Like, can we make this a little better? And also the better that you can express where your dissatisfaction or area of opportunity is, because no hearing aid, even these, no hearing aid is 100% perfect for every single scenario all the time. Our goal is to get it as close to your prescriptive targets, but in your real world scenario, it might be beautiful for music, or it might be beautiful one-on-one in a restaurant, and then you go, ooh, for my flute, this is a little bit off. I need this and that. You need to be comfortable to tell the person that, because you're investing a lot of money, and that's kind of that's our end of the bargain. Is when you're coming in, you're not just buying a thing. You're not buying a piece of plastic and a chip. You're not buying a camera from Best Buy. You're not buying a laptop. You're buying care that is also tied to the instrument. But the care, in my opinion, is superior to the instrument. Because we need to maximize. You could have let's say with a $10,000 hearing aid, if you didn't get real ear measurement and if it wasn't properly fit, someone clicked a few buttons on the computer and said, here you go, have fun. It is worthless at that point. So being comfortable to say, I need this, I need that, make sure that you guys are doing that. Make sure that you're comfortable doing it.
I've had many encounters with hearing specialists. The longest intake I've ever had was 20 minutes. On my first visit with JC, he spent 2 hours and 20 minutes on the first appointment. The next appointment was 2 hours again. Never felt rushed, never felt pushed, never felt he was in a hurry, never felt like I was just a meal ticket for him. He was genuinely concerned about the service that he was providing me. And again, you're not, in my estimation, you're not getting that anywhere else.
Thank you.
It's true. It's true. It's the other experiences I had with the other devices, the intake was 15 minutes.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Well, and the industry sort of set that way, and I know we're seeing this in primary care physicians' offices in so many settings that it's become transactional.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like it's just that I used to work for I won't a large corporate office, and the conversation went from medical care, doing what is right. You know, I had an audiologist that sat down, Dr. Charles Harney. I'll never forget you because you took the time when you didn't need to sit down and say, "Hey, this is how they're telling you to program these hearing aids so you can get them in and out. Let's sit down and put some microphones in the ear." He's the person that taught me real ear measurement and took the time. I even had a mentor, Valerie Kramer, who taught me so many things with fitting the hearing instruments. But this person had no reason. There was no financial gain for him. This man took the time when he didn't need to just to say, I'm gonna. He was also looking to retire. He's like, I got to pass the torch, and I want the future for hearing healthcare to be young professionals that are going above and beyond, not just a quick thing, but the model, the structure now when it comes to large corporate chains, and this is most of my competitors, is how quick can I get you in and out? And there were points, there. I have been told before, hey, that test should be no more than 30, 45 minutes. I used to work in Miami, Florida, and I was in a place that there were people lined up. I mean, there must have been, I don't know, 10 patients in the waiting room or more at a time. And it was in, out, go up front. You know, she's gonna get you scheduled for your evaluation. Sometimes, you know, there's all of these pressures. And I do believe that a lot of the people that get into this profession, it's not just to make a buck. I think that the system that they're within kind of pushes that. And then, you know, if your employer's telling you got to do XYZ or else, you know, you're going to have to find new work like that. That's just what happens. And there's people that have kind of, it dilutes the level of hearing, the level of care in general, not just hearing healthcare, the level of care. If your primary has to see 4 patients in 1 hour, there's no way they can sit down and do all that. That's one of the biggest drives in me going into, so I own Altima Family Hearing, going into my own business is, if I need to take 2 hours on an afternoon, if it's like, hey, bring your instruments, we're gonna play, I can make those shots. No one is telling me, whatever I need to do. And at the end of the day, like, what's the point for me to maximize how many patients, let's say I see 5 patient opportunities in a day, if I'm not taking the right amount of time and those people aren't moving forward with me because they felt rushed or they felt that the care wasn't there, what differentiates me from the Costco, from the Here USA, from the Miracle Ear, from the Beltone, not to talk about one, but what that is our differentiator is, and I would say for so many things, if you're going to a small business owner, they got into it, they opened that business, they got into their trade because they're passionate about their trade. So it is a little more likely. There are gems in I'm not trying to say anything negative about these large corporations. I know excellent providers within those systems, but they don't come every day. It's a little needle in a haystack when you're talking about, the large outfit that's promoting something else. And usually those people will know, hey, it's time for me to do this on my own. So I would encourage it, and that's just the case with so many small businesses and things. When you go, I know we're used to like the Walmarts of like taking over every other trade that there is, and then now you go into a Walmart, let's say, and there isn't an associate to help you out, where if you would have gone to whatever the trade was that they took over, you would have known the mom and pop, they would have known you by name, they would have taken care of you. And that happens. That's happening in hearing healthcare. So I definitely encourage, find a small business owner to get this level of hearing healthcare. And there's so many amazing providers out there that do this, that I know, that I network with, that I know that will take the time to help you out.
And as an independent contractor and a small business owner, sole proprietor, I'm looking for somebody like that understands we build our business on quality, and someone who's a sole proprietor, that's what they're selling is quality. They're not selling hype. We're not selling hype, we're selling quality. And that's why I was drawn to JC.
If you could give advice to someone who's considering hearing aids, let's say for the first time, outside of best practices and things that we've touched on, is there anything that you'd like to share with them as far as getting acclimated to the sound processing, getting acclimated to putting hearing aids on, just the beginning of that journey?
Yeah. As with all things that are new, you have to have realistic expectations. So prior to 2020, I did not wear hearing aids. And when I first put them in, I hated them. Why? Because I was unfamiliar with it, and I had unrealistic. I thought it was going to be a panacea. It's not going to be a panacea. It's going to be an assistive device that will be tweaked and adjusted to its optimal performance, that you're not going to regain your hearing from when you were 6. You're
I love
going
that.
you're going to regain your hearing, for me, for a 67-year-old male. And once you adjust your expectations for that, you're going to be open to all of the new sounds and all of the new experiences. You're going to understand that there is no stigma. The stigma is not dealing with it. The stigma is pretending that you can hear. The stigma is no one's looking at your ears. No one has ever said to me, "Oh, I see you're wearing hearing aids." No one's looking at you. Everybody is so self-conscious in this society. Do what's right for you to give you back what you lost that you didn't know you lost. Wear them consistently and you'll adjust, and some days it'll be different, just like your regular hearing. But it's a process and it's a journey, and find someone who will help you when you need help. If I have a problem, I call up JC. He's like, "Come on down right now." Right now? Yeah, right now. I may not be able to see you, but we can
We'll
figure
figure it
out.
out.
We will figure it out.
We will figure it out.
I'm not getting that with my primary care doctor. I'm not getting that. Even at the shoe store, I'm not getting that. I can't call somebody up and the plumber, same thing. No. We'll see you next week. But someone who's a sole proprietor, who's interested in quality care and responsive behavior, you're going to get that. And that's what we're looking for. And that's why it's worth it. You're spending a couple $100 on coffee. Well, okay, so that's $1,200 a year. And over 5 years, you would rather drink terrible coffee than have the best hearing aids that you can have adjusted by a professional on a consistent basis?
I wish my patients could hear this. We need to put this in our waiting room, because I say this all the time. That's the phone analogy that I was saying a little bit ago. Like, it's something we'll spend money on. If you really add up the Starbucks coffee or Dunkin' or whoever, if you're adding these things up, like, we spend so much money on some things that I would say are not necessities, but when it comes to
I would say superfluous.
yeah. And when it comes to something that we absolutely need, it can be. And I understand that there are people that cannot legitimately afford. Maybe you are by yourself and you can't afford, groceries or your living expenses. There are so many. To let you guys know, there's so many programs that help with that. There's we're in Florida. The Florida Medicaid system can afford hearing aids. I'm a Medicaid provider. We're contracted with most insurances. Yeah. Unfortunately, Medicare does not cover hearing aids, and this is an investment, but it's an investment that is worth making. And any practice, let's say ourselves, like we have, ways to finance and things like that to help out. But the first step, without getting into cost, is just like the moment that the person is hearing the difference, hearing what they've been otherwise missing, like at that point, it is absolutely worth it. Like it's when we hear it every single day of, why didn't I do this sooner? No one's thinking, oh man, I could have saved $1 or maybe waited a few years. Like, no, that's a few years of not interacting. That's a few years of nodding and smiling at the restaurant. That's a few years of saying what and asking others to repeat when there are resources available. So yeah, that was awesome. I want to ask about this place.
Sure.
The Blue Bamboo. I live in Altamont Springs.
Yep.
I didn't know this. Tell us about this place. Just tell us.
Okay.
What is the Blue Bamboo?
The Blue Bamboo is a venue that was started by Chris Cortez and Melody Cortez about 10 years ago. They had a vision for a venue for high quality art, visual art, music, dance, everything. A community-centered place where we could promote live local talent. The first place was behind Lombardi's on Fairbanks on Kentucky Avenue. We've just recently moved into this place. We've been here a year. There's There's extensive funding that comes from the city of Winter Park, the Orange County tax base, and United Arts. It provides a wonderful outlet for all ages and all levels of musicians. We have student groups play here. We have high school groups, college groups. We have a jam session on Thursday night where all amateur and professional musicians are welcome to come play with the professional band. We have a wide variety of genres, from rock and roll to 50s and 60s music to hardcore avant-garde jazz to big band to vocal to the Brazilian, Afro Puerto Rican, Cubano, all styles of music, and we just want to hold everybody in this community who's interested in uplifting this community with a positive vibration through music and communicating in a universal language, a place and an opportunity to present that to the public. And that's what we do here.
It is beautiful. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of clips of the music. I mean, you have to come here and hear it for yourself. I know we have some awesome microphones, audio, visual, but you got to feel it. Like, music is something that I was sitting here watching you guys practice the other day, and we were all with like my jaws hit the floor, and it's impactful. If you guys are in Central Florida, come check out the Blue Bamboo. This place is beautiful, and thank you for letting me be here.
The one thing that people don't realize in this era is how different the music that they consume, either via their hearing instruments or earpods or headphones, is not what music sounds like. Music does not sound like that. Music is, again, it's like going through life like this. And then you hear live music and you're like, oh, you have to feel the sound waves. You have to experience the full, non-compressed, non-reduced sound. What they do with the files is they take all the highs and all the lows and squash it so it's a smaller file. Live, you hear everything. You hear, in musical parlance, we call it, you hear the air in the room. And that's the most important thing. And the other thing is music is supposed to be enjoyed with other people, so that we all become entrained. Our body rhythms synchronize, our heartbeats and our breathing rate synchronize to everyone in the audience, and we feel as one. And it's an experience that you don't have with headphones on, listening by yourself. So please come out. If you're a musician, please come on Thursday night and bring a song and come sing it or play it with us. If you're not a musician, please come and enjoy music and understand that because you're listening, you are co-creating the music. If you're co-creating the music, you are a musician. So I would say, if you can listen and enjoy music, you are a musician. Because without you, I'm not a musician. So it's completing the cycle. Music always takes a subject and an object. So come and experience a wide variety of music styles here at the Blue Bamboo.
Thank you. Thank you. I did want to ask before we close, you played the sax in the office and the flute.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a favorite? Is there where you does one evoke a different emotion?
Absolutely, yeah.
And how could you describe that relationship you have with each instrument, and what does it do for you whenever you're playing this instrument? Does one evoke an emotion more so than the other whenever you're playing?
So for me, music is a to use a non-illustrative science fiction term, it's a wormhole to another dimension. And it's instantaneous. As soon as you close your eyes and as soon as you play the first note, your sense of self dissolves and you become something that you've always been, which is light. Light and sound are the same things. And when you produce a sound, you are hearkening back to your original nature, which is as a light being or being divine. And in music, we come in direct contact with that. Whatever label you want to use in music, we call it the one. But that's the reason why we all play, is to have another perspective that's larger and more loving and more knowing and more all-encompassing than we can have with our eyes open in what we call normal life. And there's an infinite way to access that, what we call the one, but as musicians, that's what we do. As far as a personal preference, I'm a flute player. I never really liked playing the saxophone, but flute,
I would not have guessed that.
yeah,
Because in the office, that was, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh, as a young man, I was very egotistical and wanted the spotlight on me, and I couldn't get the spotlight on the flute. And then with the saxophone, it was, you were more front and center. But as I matured, I was more interested in playing the flute.
Can you show us a little bit?
Sure.
And I see you got your best
Sure.
friend next to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't even know where to begin looking up this thing. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to showcase your passion, talk about your hearing healthcare
It's my
journey.
honor. And I just want to invite everyone, please come see JC. Get an evaluation. He's not going to try to sell you something immediately. He's going to give you the data that you need to make the cogent decision about one of the most important components to your, I would say for everybody, your hearing. Get the data, get the analysis. He will recommend what he can do for you within your budget, within your price range. Don't feel excluded by something, by an unknown. You will go to the office and you will say, here's what I have. And he'll say, here's what I can provide you. Here's what you can expect from this product. If you want something else, here's another product that can give you a little bit more. Here's something a little bit less. You make the decision, but you have the raw data, which points you in a certain direction. And then you have the expert advice of which device would be the best for you.
Thank you. And that hearing evaluation is completely free to everyone in Central Florida. Whether you're insured or not, whether you're just trying to figure out where am I, do I need this, is this appropriate, is it just wax, or is it a legitimate issue and something that we need to uncover? It does not cost a penny. There is no bait and switch with that. That is, I do that with intention. Often people say, why don't you charge this, why don't you charge that? And we will never have the conversation about what's best for your hearing healthcare without that assessment. And I don't want there to be any barrier for anyone to getting the help that they need. Whether now is the time or not, just the first step is finding out what is going on. I would say if you're 55 years old or 55 and older, I encourage for everyone to have a baseline. Even if you don't have concerns with your hearing, that you have hearing loss, it's great to just know where you are, because life changes, things change, and that way we can continue to monitor as we age. But hearing loss is not for seniors. It is for hearing aids or for people with hearing loss, and that could be any age. If at any point you feel like you're missing, you're asking others to repeat, you're turning the TV up louder than it should be, definitely please check us out at Altamont Family Hearing. It would be a pleasure to help you hear your best. Thank you guys for joining me in this video. I had a ton of fun showing this amazing talent of musicians and telling this story. If you know someone that's having difficulty hearing, follow us at Altamont Family Hearing, the Bald Hearing Guy, and for your local podcast, the Wax and Whiskey Podcast. Thank you guys for the support, and it'd be a pleasure to help you guys hear your best.